Uh, it is October 25th, 2021. I'm thinking of this. I found a day or two ago on the map that there's a St. John's in Canada that I didn't know of. I just looked it up on the map. Apparently it has a Mount Pearl. Actually, it would make sense, the girl with the pearl earring. And the St. John's Day pin that I have for 1988. The St. John's Episcopalian church that I went to out in Cold Spring Harbor looked more like the pictures that I saw online of St. John's, Canada. I visited St. John's Island in the Caribbean next to St. Thomas once when I was pregnant with Benjamin. God, it was our honeymoon. It was like March, April. I couldn't wait to get home. Oh my God, it was like the worst ever. Not the place we went, just the company. I was with Jason, and it was like, I don't know, it was so vile. So, that was that. We went to, I have to think about this though, but I graduated from St. John's High School in Astoria, Queens, and when I got there, I mean, I didn't know anybody. It was senior year, and I was trying to set up my schedule, but it was more like St. John's Island people were already there prior to my getting there, and I think it's on Crescent Street, and that's a big problem because there is something bigger that's going on that I'm unaware of. Nobody's ever brought it to my face, but I've got, I said yesterday, it's almost like Biafri, ancient Biafri legends coming to real life, because I've got 505 IET problems. I've got a U-55, which used to be You Are Somebody Special, in navy blue, with yellow written on their lapel. But that was, I can see the U.S. Coast Guard, or the U-5 Coast Guard, on photos, still on my Instagram. I have some kind of algorithm, thank God, with something that still reminds me that there's people out somewhere working diligently. But then inside on a local area, there's a couple of issues. One is when I got to St. John's Prep in Astoria, there was no, like, Canadians helping me along my journey like they did in St. Dominic's. St. Dominic's in Oyster Bay, over by Teddy Roosevelt's estate and whatever, and the National Landmarks Committee, in Nassau County, they were wonderful when I went to St. Dominic's. Mr. Roach was there. There was like a whole Miss Rowe, Mr. Guido was there. There was a whole bunch of really amazing. Miss Kern, Kearn was there. Brancato was the principal at the time. There's a whole bunch of wonderful people that worked that very small dynamic in a very Canadian way. And my French professor was from French Providence, Canada. So that was a wonderful whatever. Then I had some girl, Tara Duffy, come at me one day, and then Lynn and Lou moved me out of the school district. I don't know why. Over to back to Cold Spring Harbor. But then they lost the business. Clinton was president at the time, and we wound up going to St. John's, but like the Caribbean island St. John's running the show, not Canadian St. John's at the time, for Ancient Biafra Committee, to be honest with what's going on. I just passed a car, and the car had, over by NYPD 111th Precinct, it was parked car. It had a flag hanging in its window that was red, green, and yellow, and it said Suriname. So I said to the police officer on duty on camera, I said, let me just ask you a question. I said, I have to go home and go do something. I was like, if I need to refer to somebody's last name, what would you use in, like, this area? And he was like, surname. I was like, right, yeah, no, I know. That is the other option for saying last name. I was like, but I just passed a car, had a flag, said Suriname. I was like, so if I was technically writing or speaking Latin, I changed the E to an I on surname, and all of a sudden now I got a country, and now I got a tertiary problem of explaining myself. And so he goes, and like he just nodded his head, and I was like, that's where like it becomes incredibly difficult in modernization. That's why I try to stick to the ancestors and ancient things for whatever I can find on this hole in space and time, 19th to 20th century. So that happened. So I don't even know if surname is the proper reference, because then that brings in another countryman or statesman, and I have no idea what their people are like, or what kind of treaties exist, or whatever. I want to stay out of all of this stuff. But I did have personal problems in New York, in that quantum tunnel of like a solar tunnel, or a solar rope, or a solar anchor. I was supposed to be solar roped in like a Thanksgiving Day turkey, like big float going down Fifth Avenue, and it might be a windy Thanksgiving Day parade route, so all hands on deck holding the gigantic float from floating away. I was supposed to be anchored to St. John's, Canada area, more like Steve Morris, even though he's not St. John's, but that look-alike. He won that contest, and if I could pick one person to protect me in the whole entire planet and have confidence that he could be ethical and a good person at like multiple levels, he wins that prize. For people that I've actually been in front of, if I needed an outside consult. And then, because even when I was in Canada, I mean, like, I was meeting these people, I don't know providential things. I've never been introduced to Providence before. I don't know what to ask. I don't know what they've been. I mean, like, it's such a grand landscape and so many possibilities. Like, I don't even know where to begin as a newcomer. And, like, you know, I know where I just left out of, but is that significant to them? I have no idea. So now, high school was a problem because I needed that last year of high school to guide me in some kind of future for some kind of university or whatever. And I didn't get that at all in Astoria, Queens, in St. John's Prep on Crescent Street or Crescent Avenue or whatever the heck it is. Whatever that school, whatever was going on in ancient Biafra states and whatever that I wasn't even exposed to, other than perhaps if that's what they were running off of, the children's faces, whatever. But I mean, I was my pleasant, nice self, kept to myself, whatever. I met a couple of real Turkish people and real Greek people sounded Greek to me. Stay with that. There was Pete and Tina. That was it. And Tina introduced me to Pete from some grocery store to verify something, which was important. He looked familial, correct, and not Biafri, ancient, like the rest of the school was turning over into or being, I don't know why the attendance was boosted this one particular year that I was there. Let me think about this. So, like, your last, in high school in New York, your last year, I mean, it's where you have to apply for college, and then they help, I mean, I didn't even know, I knew nothing about college. I'm like, I'm gonna need, like, a real guide here. I was like, again, I don't even know, I'm so lost, because my parents didn't go. Like, what does it mean? Like, I don't know what it looks like. Like, is there a guide to where I should be going for career field? I don't even know what career field to explore. Is there, like, a list I can go through? And they're just like, no, just contact a couple of colleges and just ask for their catalogs, and then, like, just skim through them and see what you're interested in. I'm like, that's all you got? So I want that on record, because I know that they get way better at, like, NFL scholars and, like, these gigantic ministries and whatnot that are fully funded and planning for their children years ahead of time in wealth management and whatnot. I know that they've afforded themselves better than what I was offered or that I was given, and they had ample opportunity to do the right thing and help instruct me in the right manner, but it wasn't done that way. This week they said Colin Powell passed away. They also mentioned on the television was some kind of Secretary of State of New York. I had no idea, but he looks like he was more militarized service, and not U.S. Coast Guard. He wore camo, and I don't know what the militarized difference is, but they've also said in New York on television when I was growing up that Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. So, but they've never shown her in any type of uniform or whatever, so I'm not sure how that works. Then they also mentioned this week there was a mayor by the name of Dinkins within my Lifeframe. He passed away, I guess, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. I don't even know. Didn't make the news. They had to wait, and they just celebrated him sometime this week, or at least that's what the television is saying. I know there's some significance there. I didn't follow this. I have no way of researching these things or these people, but I know that these are bones of contention of really angering things in certain communities that are close in proximity to where I am, where somebody could get in a car and drive and hurt me, and I would have no idea why, over something like a funeral for some mayor that, like, I wasn't even paying attention to. And then there is, and then there was something with President Obama they keep airing now all of a sudden with Colin Powell dying and Mayor Dinkins. It's like the trifecta of Biafri, like pushing media news. Apparently, Obama is now backing something called a Phil Murphy from New Jersey. I have no idea how everybody links up to try to, like, gain points with one another's offices. Like, again, there's no, like, how do you even find where their policies are, what they believe in, and, like, their construct of these policies don't even linguistically make sense to me at the moment, because there's so much that is off, and I'm at, like, solar ropes and solar anchors. I should be tied to Canada and trying to make my way into something safe. But instead, I'm still somehow tethered to some 505 IET problem with some U55. I'm like, I got 22s in my shoes. I just do. I was born with two Z's. It's Cattaruzza. ZZA. 22s in my shoes. That's where I landed in New York. Trying to get my solar anchor and my solar rope to something Steve Morris or like Canada Providential or anything from Oyster Bay, St. Dominic's, that seemed to have a really good crew of teachers, learned, and educates that were safety net of some sort in Oyster Bay when I attended there. They were really wonderful people as well, might I add. Or at least they were to my face. Much better, might I add, than St. John's. I went to St. John's, it was a whole nother ball of wax. I knew I wasn't welcome. I knew there was some bigger game going on, and I knew they were setting themselves up pretty for life, and they were trying to interact with me the least, I had no idea why. Just another waste of a year between 95 and 96. And that's news from New York, straight up raw. Let's just think about this. Yeah, so that's my St. John's differential between, I didn't realize there was a St. John's up in Canada, but then I looked and it has a Girl with a Pearl Earring reference for 1988, because I know with this pin there is a some form of connection. I know he's incredibly important. I have no construct built as to how to acknowledge people's significance until somebody teaches me face to face how and why we honor certain things and there's no culture here. There's no historical context been built. There's just what I hear on TV. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. It's Black History Month. It's black this, black that. And I'm like, all right, no, I get that you guys are important. I hear you that you had struggles. You had really bad things happen to you. That's all I've heard my whole life. But, I got real stuff going on. There's a solar rope that dislodged, and the sun has become a really dangerous, toxic chemical level, and I got real stuff to do. So, could I just get, a representative from somewhere that looks familiar and safe? I don't even know what they look like or what to ask for. I think Providence goes by Prime Minister. If we do President down here, if my 505 IET is working correctly on Divine Connection, but I could be wrong. I have no idea how humans have been working the system. And it feels like multiple systems have broken loose, and I'm thoroughly frightened at the ramifications. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's October 25th, 2021, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.